Hello and welcome to the Pickle Jar. My name is Josh and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make a rocky lava base. Hi guys, welcome to the video. So I've had a few messages over a picture that I uploaded a while back now of the Primaris chaplain that I painted, specifically asking about the base that I made for that miniature. Now this one is different to the rest of the base that I've been doing for my Salamander army so far, so I thought that I would do a quick tutorial on how to make a similar base. Now it's nice and easy to make, it's really simple, it is pretty much as you would expect, but I thought I'd take you step by step through the process and show you exactly how I made this base. Just before we get started, if you are enjoying the content that we're putting out on the channel, be sure to leave a like down below and a comment on the video, and if you are new to the Pickle Jar, then consider subscribing. With that out of the way, here we go with the tutorial. So to get this base started, I'm starting out with a regular base and then measuring out some cork to put on top of this. Now the cork that I use is quite thick, it is actually supposed to be for saucepans. It's from IKEA, comes in a multi-pack, but that's the cork that I like to use. Once that was super glued on and all set, I then started to peel away and shave away with a hobby knife the excess that was overhanging over the edges, and then trimmed it down to about half its thickness. The cork that I use is quite thick. So the one that I did on my Primaris chaplain, I left that quite thick because he's a HQ unit, but this is more designed for troop choices, so I want to thin it down a little bit so it wasn't quite as tall. Once that's done, I covered the top in a layer of PVA. I'm not watering this down at all, I'm just leaving this on thick because it does provide a nice sealant for the cork as well on the top. Once that PVA is all on there, I just dunk it in a tub of sand and then wait for that to dry. Once it's dried, I then sprayed it with Chaos Black primer. I then took a mix of Abaddon Black and Eshin Grey and gave it quite a heavy dry brush. Now I'm wanting to keep this quite dark. The one that I did for my Primaris chaplain, I ended up going a bit too bright in my opinion. I want this to be more ashen rock as opposed to just generic rock. So I'm giving it quite a heavy dry brush with the Abaddon Black and Eshin Grey mix. Once that was done, I then gave it a further dry brush just with Eshin Grey. So each dry brush that I do here is lighter and lighter each time. So again, not wanting to go too bright, but you do need to get the differences in colour on there. Once the Eshin Grey was done, I then gave another highlight dry brush using Dawnstone. And you can see it's starting to come together now. The grey is coming out nicely on there. It's almost exactly where I want it to be. All that was left was one final dry brush of Dawnstone and Celestra Grey. This was very delicate, as you can see, over the top, just picking out certain points and edges. With all that done, I thought I would try something new and base the remaining area on the base there in Celestra Grey. Now normally I just go straight on with my red base tone, but I thought I'll go with Celestra Grey because it's a nice bright base colour and hopefully the lava will end up looking a lot brighter because of this. Once that had dried, I then took Mechrite red and covered over the entirety of the lava area. Now I'm putting this paint on fairly thick, not really watering it down too much, and what I'm doing as well in between each layer now with the lava, I am not waiting for them to dry. I am applying each new layer while the previous is still wet. Doing this helps you wet blend later on to give a nice flowing effect for the lava. So once that was on, I then took Sunz Scarlet and applied this to the majority of the area, just leaving the very edges in the original red colour. Once that was on, I then took some Troll Slayer Orange and proceeded to cover up a smaller portion of the lava area. As you can see, I'm sort of pushing this, just using an old brush, pushing this into the red to try and blend it rather than just painting it on smooth, because what you want is that nice transition from the dark red to orange and then to yellow, which will be the next step. So with all that on, I then took Yriel yellow, which is my go-to yellow for doing lava, and I'm just applying this right around the edge. And then what I will do in a moment is start to sort of push this again into the orange and then the orange into the red and blend it in nicely. You can see there, just nudge it around with a clean brush. Again, just an old brush, don't use your best ones for this. And getting that nice transition between all the colours. Now you can spend as much or as little time on this step as you need to, but I think it is always best to try and get a decent looking blend. Once that was all on, I then went back to my Mechrite red and with a small dry brushed up the edge of the rock that was facing the lava and then a little bit on the top. And then once that was on, I took Troll Slayer orange and did another very light dry brush just on the rock face that was facing the lava. Because this way, it's a nice easy way to do OSL, especially for glowing rocks and lava and things like that, and it just finishes the base off nicely. One last thing to do, as always, is to tidy up that base rim. And there it is, all finished, ready for a model to go on top. So there you go guys, that is how I made my rocky lava base for my Primaris Chaplain. Now you can use this on pretty much any miniature. You can mix it up a bit, you can have different indentations for the lava to go, you can have more or less of that wherever you need it, you can have two separate rocky platforms and lava going through the middle. It really is up to you how you want to implement this, but the technique will remain the same no matter how you do it. Now it's time for my favourite part of the week, the Community Spotlight. Now this week's Community Spotlight pictures come from painter Nigel Bonza. I believe that they are Age of Sigmar models, but you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong on that. But these look absolutely fantastic. I particularly like the skull on this one. I like the green flames on the first image. And I like the OSL done from the lantern on this last one. Absolutely fantastic work, Nigel. Well done, and thank you very much for submitting your miniatures. If you'd like to see one of your own miniatures featured here on the Community Spotlight, send me an email to the email address down below in the description, including a picture of the miniature you want showed off, with a link to your Instagram or Facebook pages if you've got one, and I'll be sure to show it off in a future video. I hope you found the tutorial useful. If you did, be sure to leave a like and a comment down below, and if you really liked it, then please consider subscribing so you can keep up to date with all the content that we'll be releasing in the future. You can get in contact with us on our Facebook, Instagram and Twitter pages, or here on the YouTube channel. That's all from me, and I'll see you next week with another video.